Alright guys, so my MOT is due in 2 weeks, so we're going to do a little bit of MOT prep on the Clio. Now the main problem with it that I can see that would prevent it from passing a test, touch wood it's the only thing, is the fact that the reverse lights don't work. Now, they haven't worked for years, but they've changed the rules on the MOT last year and now they're MOTable. Previously it didn't matter that the reverse lights didn't work, but now it'll fail, so I've got to sort it out. Now there's a way you can test if the problem is with the switch or the wiring and the bulbs or you know, anything other than the switch. And the way that you do that is if you put the ignition on, put the wipers on, and then put it in reverse gear, the back wiper should go, which it is doing. Now that means technically that it's not the switch. But, and it's a big but, I think it is the switch on this one, and I'll show you exactly why. Now, normally if the switch didn't work, it would just do nothing when you put it in reverse gear. But I've got a camera on the back as well to show you. I'm just going to put this in reverse gear. I'm going to put the ignition on and turn the wipers off. Right, let's put it in reverse gear a couple of times, and then you can see what's happening with the lights. Excuse the state of my shitty car. So as you can see, the lights go on briefly, which is enough to trigger the rear wiper mechanism, but then goes straight out again. I don't know why this is. I'm assuming it's a problem with the switch, and I actually checked it out last week by unplugging the switch and bridging out the wires that go to it on the plug. And the light went on permanently, so it can be a bit deceptive. As a rule, if the switch isn't sending a signal at all to the reverse lights, then your wiper won't go on. But in my case, it threw me a bit of a red herring. So hopefully it is the switch. Anyway, I have a spare part which I shall get now, and I will show you how to fit it. So in order to do this job, you will require parts to remove and replace your wheel. I've got a torque wrench there as well, which is fairly important because you don't want your wheel nuts coming off. I'll show you what happens in a minute. There's a replacement switch, and I've got a 24mm deep socket that the switch fits inside nicely. There we are, for screwing it in and unscrewing it. It's got to be a deep socket, otherwise it won't work. So the sensor is on the side of the gearbox near the bottom, which is behind the front left-hand wheel. If you're in the UK, it's the front near side. Countries that drive on the other side of the road, then it'll be on the off side. So let's get this wheel off first though. Okay, so we're going in under the wheel arch now, and this cable here leads to the sensor. Let's see if we can get you in a bit better. There it is. So it's fairly good for access. There's the steering rack, look, to give you an idea for reference. Now, it's got a little tang top and bottom which fits into, where's my sensor? So here's the sensor, look. There's a little tang that fits into there and there, which you need to lever out with a screwdriver that I forgot to mention before. And I also forgot to get, so I'll have to grab a screwdriver now. Okay, so this is probably the hardest part of the whole thing. Can you see at the top there, that little bit where the clip goes? You have to lift that out and pull the plug at the same time. I can't because I haven't got enough hands because I'm holding this out of the way. And then there's another one underneath that you also need to get to. So I'll try and do that, but you probably won't see anything. Ah, gotcha. So those are the two terminals you can short out to see if the reverse light works, which it will do because I've already tried it, so I won't show you, but I just used a bit of wire between those two holes. And
You can see top and bottom, the little tabs you have to lift up to get over the holes top and bottom in this. So that is now done. So the next step involves a deep 24mm socket on an extension. I'm sure you could probably use a spanner on there or something as well, but it would be fairly fiddly. So this is what I'm using. It just unscrews. I don't know if I'll be able to do it with the phone there, so you maybe won't be able to see, but it just unscrews. Oil will leak out, so you need to plug it up with your finger or something while you put the other one in. So it's a good idea to have the other one to hand. Incidentally, I got the replacement one for less than £10 from eBay, and they do a 2 and a 3 pin version, so it'd be a good idea to check which one you have. This is a 2002 Clio diesel. It's got the 2 pin version. A lot of cars have got the 3 pin version. I think some Megans have got the 3 pin one and the later Clios, so it's definitely worth checking. But if you're going to try bridging it out to make sure it's the switch, then you'll have already seen how many pins it has. What is clearance like here then? Not sure how that's going to work. I'll come back to you. Okay, the moment of truth. This ratchet's not good enough. Let's try it the other way. Come on, you sod. Got one of these universal joint things on here now, which means it's coming. Slowly but surely. She's dripping oil, alright. Out with the old, in with the new. Oh shit, that is a drip, isn't it? Right, I'm gonna have to move the phone. Okay, so there it is. We did lose a fair bit of oil. Let's see if we can see down there. The belly pan. Quite a bit of oil there. So I'm gonna give it a quick spray with brake cleaner to hopefully get rid of it all, and then put it back together once it's dried. Okay, so now clip the plug on. Just slide it until it clicks. There we are. And then we'll go test it before I put the wheel on. Oh, now I just need to put the wheel on. This is the spare wheel, and I'll just show you why it's so important to torque your nuts up, because as you can see they're countersunk, and so are the holes. The holes are countersunk. If you don't torque it up enough, it can rattle around a bit in there. And as you can see, look, this one's elongated and the rest of them are out of round as well, although they're more difficult to see, which is really dangerous. You can shear your wheel nuts off, it makes a load of noise, the wheel's unbalanced, you can lose control, it's terrible. So always torque your wheels up. On a Clio, it's 110 to 130 Newton meters for the wheel nuts. So torque them up gradually, start maybe at 85, then 100, then I always do them to 130. And then after you've driven a few miles, do it again, just to double check. Just go over and make sure they're all still 130. Torque wrench, really important piece of kit, and you can use it for loads of stuff as well. So we're about done. The plug's obviously back on, it all works, and I've sprayed this stuff on the brake disc just in case I did get any oil on it. I don't think I did. I've put these on with this torque wrench, not torque wrench, with this impact wrench, and I'm just starting to torque these up to 85 to start off with. Remember, they need to be 110 to 130, and this is how much more they are. This is how much more you have to do them up than when you've done them with, admittedly, only a battery powered windy gun, but still there's a fair bit in there, isn't there? And of course there's another 2 torques to do before that to 100 and 130, so bear that in mind too. If you do it with a proper windy gun, you can over tighten them, and then they're also likely to shear off. So it's very important. Torque wrench, can't tell you enough how important it is. Here's the old switch. There's the Renault part number for you, in case you need it. I imagine if you buy a proper Renault one though, it'll be a little bit more expensive. There we are. That's the one I took out.